Hi, I'm Kim McQuitty. Thank you for joining me tonight on Wife Ready the Chat. This week, I've been posting about the 10 Commandments of Communication. And today's post is, Thou shalt listen to understand, not just reply. So what do I mean by thou shalt listen to understand, not just reply? What I mean by that is, let's say you guys are having a conversation, and it's a heated conversation. And it's a conversation about something you guys had about in the past. And for some reason you're wondering why you're having it again and why there's conflict again. Well, let's say he's expressing his feelings and his emotions about whatever the situation was. But you've already have it in your mind what you want to say because you've already been around this mountain once before. And you already know what he's going to say, and you're already getting in your mind on how you're going to reply to what's being said. Listening to understand, not just reply, means you're listening to the person and listening to him or whomever this may be to the vantage point of where they're coming from. Not just putting in your head, getting in your mind what you want to reply or how you want to reply. Because at the end of the day, there's times when you will hear things a certain way that has not been expressed other than the way that it has been said. And that's how things that's how communication and conflict resolution is very difficult in relationships, because the way things are communicated or said or not said or even expressed could not be the way that you heard it to be. What I suggest in any time especially there's a conflict is that you listen without interrupting. It is very important to let that person say everything they want to say, validate what you're hearing them say, and even if you need to repeat it back to them what you've heard them say. Listening to understanding them. You may not agree with it, and I'm not saying you have to agree with it. We're not talking about agreeing here. We're talking about letting them understand what they're saying from the vantage point of what they want, what they're communicating to you, and they're replying to it. I know sometimes in my own relationship, I've had what you call selective hearing. I heard what I wanted to hear, and I responded to what I heard instead of what was said. So selective hearing is another thing. We have to allow the person to speak their heart, speak what's on their heart, speak from their heart, and listen to understand why they say what they say, where they're coming from, instead of just gathering an opinion in our mind to reply. If we're gathering an opinion in our mind to reply, we're not listening to what's being communicated. Therein lies the frustration of communication challenges and issues that come up in relationship. Communication is the lifeblood of any relationship, especially in marriages, and it is one of the most difficult things that couples have a problem with, because they just do. It's just we have different ways of communicating, we have different ways of hearing, we have different ways of responding, we have different ways of conflict resolution or resolving situations. So we have to give the person the benefit of the doubt, hear what they're saying, validate what they're saying, have empathy about what they're saying, and then go ahead and form an opinion instead of just wanting to reply off the bat because, this is what happened the last time. I already know what you're going to say. I'm already forming an opinion, but this situation may be different than the last time. So thou shalt listen to understand, not just reply. Another one I posted the other day. I'm going to be posting these throughout the rest of the week, but I put thou shalt be unoffendable and approachable. I want to touch a little bit on that. Thou shalt be approachable and unoffendable. Never make your husband, your friend, your boyfriend, your fiance, whoever that is, pay a price for being honest with you. Whenever someone is offended, whenever you're offended, when I'm offended, it's always something that's undone in that person. It's not the other person. They hit a nerve on something on the way that you see yourself, or a past hurt, or a pocket of pain, or something in your life that has happened that has pricked that pain, that has caused you to be offended. In communication, you have to be approachable, and you can't always be offendable. Well, you shouldn't be at any time, but there are some times you will be. It's inevitable. We just all get offended at some point in life. It's just the way that it is. But to be unapproachable is that situation, that conflict is not being resolved. And unapproachable could be just the way that you're coming off in your body language, just the way that we feel in your presence, just the energy that you're giving off by being around you because of how you feel about it. And you can be so unapproachable that he doesn't want to approach you. He doesn't want to talk to you. He's going in another room doing his thing, but the situation still isn't resolved because he doesn't want to deal with the attitude behind whatever you're feeling like. In communication, it is critical that you learn how to be approachable and unoffendable. And you're going to hear some things that's going to be said to you from a situation or circumstance that's not going to feel good. It's not going to feel good. It's going to hurt your feelings. But in order to resolve that, you have to be approachable. And it's not just you. I'm talking to you because this is Wife Ready. It's for him as well. He could be very sensitive. He could be someone who stonewalls, who just shuts down emotionally for whatever the reason may be. But you have to learn how to be approachable and unoffendable when you're in situations or circumstances that aren't feasible, that don't always feel good. Conflict is inevitable in any relationship. It really is. And it does help breed a deeper level of intimacy. It really, really does. Because at the end of the day, if you can go through some storms with somebody, if you can ride the waves, if you can go through some hard times and situations and circumstances and still be for that person, still love that person, still want to be in that person's relationship, want to be in a relationship with that person in their life, then you've rode the waves in some things and you know that that person is there for you, with you for the long haul, or what you call a ride or die. Don't avoid conflict. Do not avoid it, because what you're doing, if you don't resolve it, it's like the inevitable elephant in the room. And they say you always sweep things under the rug. Whenever you sweep it under the rug, everyone's stepping around the rug because nobody wants to go head forth into that mountain that's sitting in the middle of the room. Conflict is inevitable. You're going to have it in your relationships. It's a part of growing. It's a part of loving. It's a part of going deeper. There is certain times that things should be said or not said. There are certain molds, there are certain mindsets, there are certain environments, there are certain things that should be said in different times, and you have to be able to gauge that. You should be with the person long enough to know when you can discuss something serious, when you can discuss something that's going to require you guys' attention, require you guys to invest some time into listening. And it just shouldn't be at any given time. The more important it is, the more time or more you need to set aside a time to talk about it. If something is bothering you, it's always your turn. It's always your turn to bring it up. It's always your turn to approach him. It's always your turn to say, honey, we need to talk about this. And one of the last things a man wants to do before he go to bed is hear, we need to talk. He actually don't want to hear that at all, to tell you the truth. He doesn't want to hear it like that. But the last thing he wants to do when his guard is down, when he's worked all day, he's been gone all day, he wants to come home and say, in the evening, you've had dinner, the kids are gone to bed, you guys have watched TV, you had a moment at that time. You could have did it, maybe around the dinner table after the kids were gone. But the last thing he wants to hear before he get into bed is we need to talk. That's the last thing he wants to do. Find a time throughout the day. Find a time, if you need to schedule in a time to actually have that conversation, it needs to be had. Like I said, it is always your turn. Whenever there's something bothering you, you need to share it. So again, and in that conversation, thou shalt listen to understand, not just to reply. So again, thank you for joining me this week. I'm going to be continuing the 10 commandments of communication. I want you to share this video. We have 6 more to go. They're going to get gooder and gooder. There's a little bit more here and there, but there's so much to learn about communication and relationships. Also, I want to say that my book, Unsaved to Date, is ready to be pre-ordered. You can go out to wifeready.org and pre-order your copy. The copies will ship the 1st of August. However, we are running a special for those who pre-order. You can get a little bit cheaper than you would when the book actually releases. Unsaved the Date. Are you wife ready? Wife ready, and I've said this all the time, is not about being perfect. It's about being prepared. Nobody can be perfect. Even if you marry 40, 50, 60 years, there are going to be things you're going to go through in your relationship that you wouldn't have not known how to overcome, or you won't be prepared for. But the longer you're together, the more you'll be able to get a rhythm on how things need to be done. But you got to go into this thing whole. You got to go into this thing complete. You got to go into this thing knowing who you are, knowing what you want, knowing your worth and your value. That's what I talk about in this book. It's all about doing the work in you first before you go out to be a part of somebody else's life. Again, thank you for joining me this week on Wife Ready, the chat. And stay with me this week as we continue on the 10 commandments of communication. And I'll see you next week.